Scoring a high band score in your IELTS reading test boils down to how well you understand the reading questions in your test. Okay, and when many people talk about the true false not giving question, what I hear them say is, I'm stuck, I'm confused, I'm tired, sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. What I want you to know is you might be making two mistakes that so many people make, and I'm going to talk about them in this video to make sure that you don't make those mistakes and you know the exact things to do when you see true false not giving questions. So we're going to be practicing with an excerpt from the Cambridge IELTS Book 19, which will be published later in the year. So welcome to my channel. My name is Adenike Babalola, and I have been training IELTS test takers since 2017. I have helped hundreds of people to achieve the results that they need so that they can move to their dream countries. If you're new to my channel, please make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you get notified when I publish new videos. And if you have watched previous videos and learned so many other things, and this is one area you want to work on, you're welcome on board. Make sure you like and share this video as well. Now let's get to it. So this is what the true false not giving question looks like. This is a test that you're going to find in the Cambridge Book 19 when it is published around June or July this year. Now, let's assume that you're currently getting a band 6 in your IELTS reading test and you want to move to a band 9. But it happens that you're practicing and you're not seeing any improvement. I want you to know that there are things that you might be doing wrong that you need to fix so that you can move from that band 6 to a band 9. Okay, I have taken the test 3 times myself, and the first time was an 8.5, the second was a 9, and the third one was an 8. I took this third test here in South Korea in January 2024. Now make sure you watch to the end because I'm going to be engaging you. It's going to be a gift for a certain number of people, so make sure you watch to the end. Now let's look at this question. So the first question here says, people had expected Andy Murray to become the world's top tennis player for at least 5 years before 2016. Now, one thing many people do when they see questions like this is, because you see, the words you can see top tennis player 5 years before 2016. Some people just make the mistake of going straight to the passage and scanning for the exact words that you saw. Now that is a mistake, because if you expect to find the same words in the question in the passage, you would be misleading yourself. Many times the question statements are summarized, they are paraphrased. So it means that what you have in the question, in the passage itself, is broader, is longer than what you have in the question. So you need to take note that what they write here is always a paraphrase of what you have in the passage. Of course, you'll find some similarities, but don't expect that word for word you would find, the things you're looking for in the passage. Now, that's the first mistake you need to avoid. The second thing to take note of is some people think that you can read the entire passage first before now coming to the questions to look for the answer. The truth is that is only a waste of time, because you don't have all the time in the world to do that. If you're taking the academic tests, you're going to have 3 long passages for your reading test. In each of the, you have 3 sections. So there'll be 1 long test in each section. Now you have 60 minutes in total. That means that you don't have enough time to read 3 lengthy passages. You have 2 pages here. It means you don't have the time to read all of that. So don't make the mistake of expecting the same words, and don't make the mistake of trying to read everything in the passage before you find your answer. Now, when you read a question, the first thing you need to do is make sure you understand it. That's the first strategy for answering true, false, not giving questions. Don't just read questions and put them outside your mind because it's an exam. When you read the question, make sure you process it to yourself. Interpret it to your mind. That way you would understand what you are expected to do. Before I go further, I have a question for you. What band score do you hope to achieve in this reading test and overall? So if you want to achieve a 9, just type it in the comments. I will achieve a band 9 in my reading test. And if you want the same thing overall, just type an overall. Okay, so I will achieve a band 9. I will achieve a band 8. I will achieve a band 7. Sometimes people need just a band 6 or even 5.5. So please type in the comments what band score you expect to achieve. It's not just about typing it for the fun of it. I'm somebody who believes that if I say something, if I put it in writing and I back it up with the right effort, I'm going to achieve it. Okay, now that said, let's answer this question. I'll read it to you. First of all, the title of the passage is How Tennis Rackets Have Changed. So we're looking at the change that have happened as far as tennis rackets are concerned. Now, the first question statement says, people had expected Andy Murray to become the world's top tennis player for at least 5 years before 2016. It means that there is an Andy Murray in this passage, and people had expected him to become the world's top tennis player. That's the first tennis player in the world, long before 2016. Now, when you go to the passage, you won't expect to find these exact words, because you're looking at what did people expect. Now, what's another word for expected? This is like the expectation. This is the hope that they had for him. This is like what they had in mind, their belief concerning this particular person. Okay, so did they expect him to become the leading player as far as tennis is concerned before 2016? Now, when it says at least 5 years before, 5 minus 2016 is around 2011. So you're looking at around 2011, people were expecting that this person will become the top player in the world. Okay, to answer this question, what you need to do is go to the passage and look at where Andy Murray was talked about and take note of the 2016. Underline the dates and underline the name. The name is Andy Murray, and you can underline it or put a circle around it. The name is significant to you because it means you will find that name in the passage. 2016 is significant to you because you will most likely find that in the passage. Okay, now, but when you have something like become the world's top tennis player, top can be changed to leading, first or first rated or most popular. Think about all the phrases or words that can come to mind to replace that expression. So now we are going to go to the passage to look for where they talked about 2016. So I'm scanning. Okay, when you look at the passage, the very second word that you have is in 2016. Okay, but we need to find where they talked about 5 years before, and you might find 2011, but if you don't, just target looking for 5 years. Now I can see that in the last sentence of the first paragraph. Okay, so you have this. Yet 5 years previously, he had been regarded as a talented outsider who entered but never won the major tournaments. Okay, so what you have here is he had been regarded as a talented outsider who entered but never won the major tournaments. That is what you had for 5 years previously. In fact, underline this. If you're taking the paper-based test, make sure you underline. Use your pencil to engage your passage and your question. And if you're taking the test on the computer, you can always highlight. All right, now let's go back to the question. The second thing you need to do is what we just did. Make sure you read the question. That's the first thing. Interpret it to yourself. Then the second thing is you come to the passage, you locate where that question statement is. Now the third thing to do is compare the question with the passage. Are they making the same sense? Is the information the same? Remember that it is not about the words being the same. It's about the information being the same. When you say it to your mind, is the information in the passage the same as the information in the question? Then you know it is true. If the statement in the question goes against what is in the passage, do you see a contradiction? There's an opposite, or there is no agreement in what is here and what is here. You know that it is false. When it is not given, you would not find the information. So when it is true, you have consistency. When it is false, you have contradiction. When you have not given, you have exclusion. It is excluded. That information was excluded from the passage. Now let's find out what our answer is for this one. I want to ask you, type it in the comments. What do you think is the answer for this particular question based on what we have read? From this information in the passage, it says people saw him as a talented outsider who entered but never won any major tournaments. But the question says they expected him to become the world's top tennis player. That is not what the passage said. The question is saying something that is different from what the passage said. The question said they expected him to be the leading player, but the passage said they had regarded him as somebody who never won. He entered, but he never won. And so what you have here is a contradiction. This one says they expected him to win. This one said they saw him as somebody who was not winning. So you see the contradiction. And that is how you know that your answer for that is false. Okay? So this is what your reading answer sheet looks like. This is passage 1. This is question 1 in this particular test. So make sure you write your answers directly into your answer sheet. So you know your first answer is false. You write it down. That's for number 1. Now let's go to number 2. Number 2 says, the change that Andy Murray made to his rackets attracted a lot of attention. Now, when you read this, what does this say to you? The change that he made, this person made a change to his rackets. Okay? He made a change. He did something like an adjustment or a correction or some kind of difference. He made a difference. He brought about a difference to his rackets. But that is not all. The other part of the question says attracted a lot of attention. When you say attract, to attract a lot of attention, it means that people are looking, are listening, are watching, are paying attention, are aware. You know, he pulled attention. So he made some changes to his rackets that pulled attention. Now you ask yourself, as you go back to the passage, did the changes he made draw people's attention? Did the changes that he made to his racket, the adjustment, whatever it is that he did to his racket, did they bring about, you know, people being aware, people being attentive, people being conscious? Okay, so think about all the words that you can use as a replacement for attracted a lot of attention. Now we read further. As you look at the second paragraph, the very first sentence in the second paragraph says right here, okay? Now it says, of the changes that account for this transformation, one was visible and widely publicized. You don't need to read further. Did you hear the word publicized? Can you see that word? Visible and widely publicized. That is how you know that your answer is, did you get it? True. Because when something goes public, it means that everybody is aware of it. It is visible. Everybody is paying attention to it. Everybody knows about it. That is how you know that your answer for number 2 is true. And you write that down directly into your question paper. Now, some people ask the question, can you write in full? Yes, you can write in lowercase. You can write in uppercase. And I recently learned that you can also write the letters T for true, F for false, NG for not given. I have always discouraged this because I believe if you can write in full, write in full. But the information that I recently got says you can write the letters. But I think I'll still prefer to encourage you to write in full. If you can write true in full, if you can write false in full and not given in full, please go for it, okay? Now let's continue to I'm going to skip number 3. I'm going to go to number 4. I want us to try some questions together and I'm reserving some for you. So make sure you stay till the end. If you're enjoying this video, if you've been enjoying it so far, please make sure you like it. And if you have not subscribed, this is a great time to subscribe as well. Now let's look at question 4. Question 4 says, Mike and Bob Bryan use rackets that are light in comparison to the majority of rackets. So you have the mention of some people's names. Underline their names. Mike and Bob Bryan. Obviously, this will sound like brothers because it's the same surname, right? Now, use rackets that are light in comparison to the majority of rackets. When you say something is light, it means it is not heavy. It does not weigh as much, okay? Now, in comparison, it means when you compare this with this, okay? So let's assume this is light and this is heavy. So it means that their rackets was light in comparison to the majority. Let's assume that these are all rackets, all right? So it means that other people's rackets are heavy while theirs are light, okay? So you have that information in the passage. They use rackets that are light compared to what other people use. It means that theirs is light while other people use the ones that are heavy. you need to go to the passage and look for where they talked about Mike and Bob Bryan. If you can find those names, you will find your answers quickly. So let's check together. So we are scrolling down. Good. Now look at the third paragraph. Right in here, we can see Mike and Bob Bryan. Now we need to look for where they talk about rackets being light or being heavy. Remember that you would not see the same words, but you will see a paraphrase, words that are similar to that. Okay, so let's look. I'm looking through that place, and what you have is they explain how they have adjusted not only racket length, but even experimented with different kinds of paint. The rackets they use is, you should not even read that first sentence I read. You need to look for a sentence that shows you weight, and we can see this in the very last sentence in this third paragraph. The rackets they use now weigh more than the average model. Looking at the question, your answer for this is false, because other people have light rackets and they have rackets that weigh more. Weigh more goes against, is a contradiction of what the question says. Can you see the opposite? Weigh more than, light in comparison. Those are contrasts. So you know that your answer for number 4 is, did you get it? False. Exactly. So you write down false for number 4. Okay, so I'm going to do one more question and I'm going to leave the rest for you, but you don't know what that question is, so let's do it together. I'm going to pick question 6. I have done questions 1, 2, 4, and now I'm going to do question 6. The question says, the weather can affect how professional players adjust the strings on their rackets. Look at this. The weather. Is it raining? Is it sunny? Is it shiny? Is it, what is it? Is there winter? Anything that has to do with the weather is what you're going to prepare your mind to find in the passage. Okay, but let's keep going. It says the weather can affect how professional players adjust the string on their rackets. The weather can affect the way they adjust their string. It means that the weather has something to do with the adjustment that they make, the changes that they make, the things that they do to make their rackets function better for them. So what you need to pay attention to, the word you should pay attention to, weather, affects, and then professional players adjusting the string. So when we go back to the passage now, what we're looking for is, where do they talk about professional players adjusting their rackets? And is there anything related to weather? Something about the weather. Think about anything that has to do with the weather, the sky, the condition of the environment, the atmosphere, everything that has to do with maybe ecology or something like that. All right, now let's go to the passage and take a look at what we have. So we're looking for, that's question 6, right? So you come to the second page and then you go down to the second paragraph on the second page of the passage. So you have, so this passage is talking about professional players. I can see that in the middle, experiment with, okay? The former is far more common than the latter. The choice of the strings and the tension, which this is just the preceding sentence, just for you to locate it. Remember that is the second point. I said before that the first point is for you to read the question and understand it, interpret it to yourself. The second point is to come to the passage and locate where that question statement is. And then the third thing now is to compare what you have in the passage with what you have in the question, okay? So what you have here says, they will continually change it depending, wow, that's a good word, depending on various factors. At this point, your ears should go up, depending on various factors, including, now let's get ready, the cut surface, climatic conditions. If you were doing this in the exam, don't go further. Did you see climatic conditions? That is your answer, because climatic conditions is another way to talk about the weather. Remember, the question said the weather can affect how these people adjust the strings on their rackets. The passage says they will continually change it depending on various factors. When you say depending on the various factors, it means that it is those factors that determine the changes that they make, right? And the factors that the passage mentions include the court surface where they play, the climatic conditions, what the weather looks like, and then the game styles. You don't even need to go further, because you have seen a word, you have seen the sentence that contains what you're looking for. And usually when you do true, false, not given questions, whether you're taking the academic test or you're taking the general training test, what you need to know is that you will most likely encounter true, false, not given questions. You need to be able to read your questions confidently, understand them, and know what your answers are. Pick them and move on. If you're aiming for a band 9, for example, people going to Canada continue to tell me, I want to have a band 8.5, I want 8.5, I want 8.5. So if you're currently getting 5.5 right now, or even a 6 or a 7, and you want to achieve an 8.5 or a 9, I want you to know it's possible. I have had 8, I have had 8.5, I have had 9. You can do it too, and you can do it once. I believe that you can achieve your result once. You don't have to pay for this exam more than once. Do it once and get your results. Now, I have completed 4 questions. So we know that our answer for this question is true. Okay, the weather does affect the changes that they make. So I have answered 4 questions. When you do this, make sure you write your answers directly into your answer sheet, because there's no transfer time in reading. It's only in the listening test that you'll be allowed to transfer your answer from the question paper to the answer sheet. And if you're taking the test on the computer, of course you're doing that. You're already typing in your answers on the computer. Over to you. I want you to attempt the 3 questions that we did not do together. You're going to answer question 3, question 5, and question 7. So 3, 5, 7. I want you to attempt those 3 questions and then put your answers in the comments. But that is not all. Defend your answers. I'm going to leave the question, I'm going to leave the passage, okay? I'm going to leave the passage at the end of the video so that you can read through, or you can take a screenshot of the places where you suspect that the answers will be, and then figure them out. Read the questions, compare them with what you have in the passage, and then put your answers in the comment section. I want you to state your answer and defend your answer, because it is not enough for you to know the answer. You need to be able to justify the answer. You beat your chest and say, yes, this is why this is the answer. So I'm going to be choosing 10 people randomly who do this successfully, and I'll be sending you a gift. Okay, I'll be sending you a gift. I will contact you and I will send you a gift. And of course, we'll be doing this in other videos, in future videos. So if you don't win this time, I'm sure you would win with something else in another video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget that the IELTS test is not the destination. It is just a means to an end. And once you get these results, you can study in the countries that you want, you can work in the countries that you want, or you can become permanent resident in a country like Canada. Okay, so make sure you're subscribed to my channel if you have not done so yet. My name once again is Adenike Babalola. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. Make sure you share it with somebody you know is preparing for the IELTS test. In the description, you're going to find more videos relating to the IELTS reading, like matching headings, multiple choice questions, and of course other videos on speaking, listening, and writing. I'll see you in the next one. Stay well. Bye.